Being a mom is a full-time job, but finding community of like-minded women who share your values and support your journey can feel impossible. Stephanie faced this very challenge and she tried to balance work, faith, and family together. So she took matters into her own hands and created the community she needed. Today, the restored community has become a lifeline for women in the marketplace, offering connection, encouragement, spiritual growth, and friendship. Join us as we dive into this powerful network that is helping moms thrive personally and professionally. In our most sleep deprived moments, our children will teach us exactly what we need in order to learn and grow into who we were created to be. These are the loving lessons we will learn whether we were wanting to or not. I'm Irene Googe, your sleep coach, and I'm on mission to educate parents on how to help their young children sleep. Welcome to the journey. Hello, and welcome to the Loving Lessons Learned podcast. I'm super excited to have my good friend and colleague, Stephanie Llorente, who is the mom brain behind Restored, which is one of my favorite communities to be a part of. And this is a virtual and in-person community that purposefully equips career-minded moms for life at home and at work. And she is in a passionate pursuit of helping moms in the workplace feel seen and connected to like-minded women and supported in their faith. She enjoys helping women employ their God-given skill sets to pursue what's right over what pays well. And in her spare time, she runs a public relations consultancy and can occasionally be overheard praying for her clients and coaching moms to build a career on a firm foundation of faith and grit. And Stephanie has a lot of thoughts when it comes to motherhood, and I'm so grateful to have her here with me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited I get to talk to you in this space.
Yes. And, I have to just share the story of how Stephanie and I know each other because we go way back
Yeah.
to Kid Town, where I had the pleasure and honor of taking care of her in my toddler classroom when I was at the daycare center. So sometimes when I'm sharing my daycare stories, like Kate has been a part of that journey and she was part of the loving lessons that I was learning. And it
Yeah.
was really awesome to also watch Stephanie as she started Restored and to see where it is today. So, so awesome. Thanks again for being here.
Yes, of course. It's been a journey, and my two kiddos were a massive part of the reason why Restored exists. And yeah, you've seen since the early days of Restored's creation, right? So that's great.
Yeah. So tell me what inspired that. What made you focus
I
this
mean,
work?
I'm a firm believer that the best business or nonprofit or organizational ideas come from personal need and kind of seeing where the gaps are in the marketplace for yourself. And that's exactly how Restored came to be. I needed a community of like-minded women that supported me in my faith and in my function, like in my job and in my friendships and with my family. And sometimes when it doesn't exist, you just have to create it. And that's where Restored came from. Is I had a 3-year-old and a not quite a 1-year-old at the time Restored was formed. And um, I I mean, that's just a tough place in motherhood in general for any mom. And I consider myself fortunate to have my family close by, and my husband is amazing. But you still get overwhelmed, and you still need community for yourself, no matter who you are, what season you're in. And so it just seemed like the right time to start a community that focused heavily on faith and moms in the marketplace. And so that's kind of where Restored came from, was personal need for me. And I said, if I'm feeling like this, certainly 70% of women work, and certainly some of those are faith-minded women, and so they probably need something similar.
Yeah. And I love the fact that it is for women who are working because oftentimes it feels like there's not a lot of support if I'm going back to work and also making the time to come to something. I'm wondering if you can kind of speak to that a little bit and like how to plan to build community
Yes.
when you are working.
Yeah, community is so important. We were built for that. Like we were designed for that, in my opinion, from the start of creation. And it is so hard for moms with jobs. And let me be clear, I think all mothers work, whether you are in the home or outside of the home, you're working. And so our laser focus as a community is on moms who are working outside of the home and in the marketplace, simply because that's the lifestyle I know, right? And it's so hard when you are expected to be on as a wife, on as a mother, on as an employee, on as a friend. Like you have to be turned on for all of these things. It's hard to make space for all of the things and prioritize appropriately. And so, what we try to do as a community is set up experiences for moms that are easy for them, and convenient for them. And they don't have to plan a lot. They can just mark it on their calendar. Okay, Thursday night at 5:30, I'm going to happy hour. Okay, Friday night at 6 p.m., I'm going to whatever the event is that we're hosting, right? So that it becomes for them easy to incorporate into their calendar, because in my own experience and having friends that have been in similar lifestyles and situations, friendship's the first thing to drop, right? When you are just a busy professional, friendship is the first thing to go because you just don't have time, and it seems like it's not a necessary thing. And so, what we want to do is come alongside these moms and make friendship and community easier for them and offer them spaces to connect, personally and professionally. So that they can continue with their friendships, and maybe even form new friendships that they didn't anticipate having. I think for me, as a mom who works, I have a ton of friends who are stay-at-home moms, and they are slaying it. They're doing such a good job. They are called to that space, and they need to do that, like fulfill that calling. I am not. I'm called into the marketplace, and I love my children and I love my husband, but the conversations I have with my stay-at-home mom friends and the conversations I have with my working mom friends, I'll call them career-minded mom friends, are different. They're both beneficial, but they're different. And so the goal of Restored to help women form community is to foster these conversations and connection points so that forming community and friendships is easier, and you don't have to think about, oh gosh, I gotta text these four friends to get together on Friday night, and hopefully our schedules align, and maybe somebody's husband won't be traveling. It's a lot to try to plan at that yourself, and so we just want to lighten the burden a little bit.
Yeah, I love it. I have been able to attend your happy hours, and the timing of the events that you have are really great because they really align with like the working mom schedule. And I think that there's so much great value of what you're saying. Like everybody's work, whether you're working at home, working out of the home, both are equally important. Everybody has their own personal journey. But I think sometimes as moms, we forget that. We forget like that it's okay with the decisions that we're making in the season of life that we're in. And I know that that comes up in a lot of conversations. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on like, what do you notice is the biggest conversation piece that's different between like maybe a stay at home mom versus a working mom?
I think the busyness is actually really similar. You're busy doing things within the home and the errands and the management of the family, or you're busy doing pieces of that. A lot of times it's split a little differently with a working parent situation. But what's so different in conversations is how we talk about our families and the time that we get to spend with them, right? Like a mother who stays at home with their children, come 5 o'clock, she's like, I'm ready to clock out, man. I've been working at this all day. I'm ready to clock out and just kind of take a breather, which is completely understandable. A mom who's working outside the home and like with a professional career is like, ooh, ready to clock out for that. And like, I'm excited to see my kids at 5. And I'm sure, stay-at-home mother is excited to see her kids at different times of the day. But for a working mom, you have about, I mean, just depending on when bedtime is, you got 3 or 4 hours, right, with your family once you get home from work, depending on traffic, if you're going into an office. And in that time, you've got to do homework, you got to do bedtime, you got to do bath time, you got to do feed them. Let's
Dinner.
feed them. You got all these tasks you have to do to
Yeah.
survive or to help them to survive, and hopefully get in a little life lesson here or there. And so I think that conversation is different between the two. But I always learn something when I'm talking to my stay-at-home mom friends. I've learned something about their lifestyle and how I can apply what they're doing at home, because they've got a lot of this stuff figured out, and I don't. I don't know why I'm flying by the seat of my pants every day. So I learn a lot from them, and I learn a lot from my working mama friends too.
Yeah, no, such good wisdom. And again, it's different perspectives and it's not the same for everybody. And that's okay. That's one of the things I just love every event I come to with Restored is unique and different. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about some of the programs and events that you have available for moms to get connected.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think they're all so different. And it's not that we have a different style event each month, and sometimes we do. But for example, we have a co working day each month, we have a happy hour each month, and we have a virtual coffee chat each month. But they are all so different because either the topic is different or the attendees are different, and they each bring something new and unique to the table each time. So for our coffee chats, they typically happen at the first of the month, sometime in that first week, depending on my schedule. We got to fit it in, right, with all the things I'm doing. And the topics can range there. I mean, they are as generic sometimes as home organization, or how do we keep our houses clean and get our families out the door in the morning, and that kind of stuff. And then that they could be as faith based as like incorporating prayer into your workday, or sharing the gospel within a work structure. So the topics are really wide ranging, and we always tell, they're laser focused on the concerns of the working parent. But if there is a person who is not a mother yet, is maybe has no intention of becoming a mother, but they're interested in the topic, come on, join. That's fine. If you are a person who is a stay-at-home mom and not working in the marketplace, that's fine. Come on. If you're a person that's like not into Jesus yet, okay, come on. Like anybody's welcome. We're just laser focused on the working mom. So the topics at the coffee chat and the attendees bring something unique to those conversations every single time. The happy hours are a lot more casual. We have people there drinking water. There's people there drinking wine. This past one, I don't think I drank a thing at all. Like, you come as you are and meet people just after work, really casually, just have conversation. There's no structured topic or anything like that for those. And then those usually happen toward the end of the month. And then the co-working days happen. I'm actually at Blush Co-work right now in a conference room, and we have those usually at Blush once a month in the middle of the month. And so those are the three consistent things that we do. We also have some extra events, I'd say probably about once a quarter, that are in-person events that are structured in a way that, like, we bring in a speaker and have a particular topic that they're focused on. We're planning one right now that's focused on friendship, actually, specifically, and we do them across different towns in the Triangle area. And then the other thing that we're doing right now is a business leadership series, because we are working with a lot of professional in the workplace. No, I don't think anybody's a professional mom. That is such a hard.
We're working on it. We're working on those skills.
It's a standard to live up to. But we have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business leaders. And so we're offering a series for them that is once a month also, but it tackles a different topic. Like, maybe you own a retail boutique, but you're expected as the owner of that boutique to be the accountant and to be the publicist and to be the community manager and to do all these tasks you didn't necessarily go to school for or set out thinking you would need to know how to do. So we're offering these sessions to business-minded mamas who want to learn a little bit more about the business of running a business. So that's been a fun session. We're doing lunch and learns around those different topics.
Yeah, it was unfortunate I've not been able to make some of those, but the offerings you have and the topics you have are very intentional. And I think that that's one of the things that's really great. And it's inviting to all mamas.
Yes.
It's open to everyone, no matter what that journey looks like, which is really awesome because you do get a mix of different people. And it's always interesting to see the topics that are discussed. I know that I attended a tech one where you brought in, I think it was like an FBI agent. Am I remembering that
You are
correctly?
remembering that spot on. Yes.
And she just, it was so valuable because, as a mom of teenagers, and I think too, like you work towards all ages and
Mhm.
all seasons of life too, which is really important. And so you have these mom mentors, you know what I mean? Like women who have already walked there or women who are just getting started in that journey. And so I just remember like how valuable that was for me, just the perspective and the things to think about around tech and like how to support my kiddos, because you know what? That's a whole new thing that we're navigating right now.
Yeah, it's so super important. The whole tech component of motherhood that mothers before us didn't necessarily have to deal with, and a lot of things that we learn are through modeling. And I didn't see my mother manage me on the internet, right? Like that wasn't
Right.
a thing. So I haven't learned that from my mother, who is awesome. But so we're having to kind of teach ourselves how to parent these things. But yeah, that session was really interesting. And this, which is the beautiful thing about Restored, is that there are so many women involved with so many different types of careers. And if you need somebody that's, and like that particular woman is the cyber squad leader for North Carolina, and she's like, I got a lot of information I can share about this. Great, come and do that. So there's a variety of women, but I think parenting in tech is such a hot topic. And we have a guide on our website, which is restoredformoms.com, and it's just a free downloadable that gives you scriptures you can pray over your kids where it's related to technology. Now, does the Bible talk about the internet specifically? No, but there are things that
I think they're still bringing the encyclopedias. We're like, here's the encyclopedia.
chiseling it out on stone tablets. Yeah. So there are scriptures in this guide that you can pray over your kids. There are resources, books, and websites. And if your child is kind of in trouble with technology, there's addictions and there's all kinds of things that can be scary. There's resources in there for that too. So we want to be a service to motherhood and help moms navigate what is a tricky thing. There's no guidebook, and I certainly don't claim to know everything. I've got 2 kids and they're not even teenagers yet, so I've got a ton to learn myself. But I hope that I lean on you for that. I'm like, oh gosh, you're already there. Tell me all the things you know. But I think that our goal is to offer these resources to moms to make that parenting journey in working motherhood just a little bit easier and make that burden just a little bit lighter, and to connect you with other moms that are in the same season, that are going through the same thing. Because such a big part of this is that when you are a mother in the workplace, it can be very isolating. And we weren't built for that. We weren't built for isolation, as we saw in COVID, right? That did not go well for a lot of people. So we just weren't built for that. And so how can we as an organization come alongside mothers and say, we're in this with you. We also are struggling with this. But here's a resource that has been helpful to me. So
Yeah. Stephanie, you have a really great network, and I'm so glad you have that tech guide. And so I'm going to share a link down below in the show notes so people can grab that. And again, I think that there's just so much value to recognizing that sometimes we don't have the time to do all the research when we're working. And so being able to have like a hub and support that you can come and say, hey, I have a question about this, and know that you can connect somebody. Because those of you who don't know, Stephanie is so well connected. She knows so many different people, and she does such a great job of understanding what everyone's gifts and talents are. And she has just a beautiful way of like sharing that with others. So I just want everyone to know about Stephanie and Restored and like what she has going on there and all the events that are coming up as well.
very saying yes, and we love learning about new women that have other skill sets that we're not yet aware of. And one thing, if you don't mind, I'll mention that is coming out, it actually just came out today. which may be a little bit old by the time this podcast gets aired, but is a resource for moms to help in Western North Carolina, where all of the flooding has taken place recently, and our mountain region is just devastated. But there are so many resources that it can be overwhelming as a parent to sift through and see what works best for your family. We're big proponents of getting your children involved in serving and becoming contributing members of society as you raise them, right? And so one thing we've done is compiled a list of opportunities for moms in one spot that lists organizations and websites and ways that they can help and pick something that fits your family and your lifestyle and your interests.
Yeah, no, Stephanie, I love that. And I love your heart. And we know that what's happening in Western Carolina is not going to be over anytime soon. Like, this is going to be an ongoing journey. And we know that a lot of friends locally are probably affected by this too, and family members and all. So great to be able to have that as a resource guide. So we'll share that link down below too, so everyone can get connected. And I love the fact that you talk about bringing the kiddos in. Do children come to some of these events, or are these for moms only?
Good question. So most of our events are for moms only. There are so many considerations, but the as to why we do that. But the biggest reason why they're mom only is because you just need some time with friends, but even more than that, a lot of our events are held in the evenings, so that they can be convenient for women with jobs and who might not get off of work until 5 or 6 o'clock. And then we're running into dinner times and bedtimes and things like that. So with particularly with the younger kids, and so it doesn't always make sense to offer childcare or to say, hey, bring your kids along for this thing, because it kind of conflicts with their schedules and things when they need their sleep, right, Irene? Like they need
they do need their sleep. Yeah, no, I think it's so mom friendly. And I think too, again, the intentionality of like connecting moms. And I think one of the things too, if you go to a restored event, you're going to find that it's very timely. Like, it's not like I'm going to just hang out and be here forever. Although you could, if you wanted to, you have that option for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that there's something too about also knowing that we have boundaries and we have limits, and like moms are heading to maybe go back and do some bedtime, or you know what I mean? Like, they get to make that decision on what works for themselves. And I think that's the beauty of like the community that you're creating.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one thing we do try to be really intentional about, is telling moms that you can come to one thing or you can come to 10 things. Nobody's going to judge you. We can't get to everything all the time. That's life. And so come to what you can. And if you can't, that's okay. It's fine. And just giving women grace and giving them flexibility that they need to thrive in the season of life that they're in. And if you're available, and if your lifestyle and your calendar align and you can get to something, fantastic, we'd love to see you. But if it can't, we have some things available online for you, and we have some virtual options for you. And so just being really intentional about that, I think, makes all the difference in the world.
No, I love that. Well, Stephanie, you and I could chat all day. I love talking with you, but we're going to wrap up with the 5 loving lessons that you've learned through your parenting journey. And so I'm wondering if you have a favorite product or service that you can share with our audience.
I think from the beginning of my motherhood until this very moment, my favorite service would be a awesome babysitter. I love my husband. I love to go. Yes, I love to go out with my husband. I would like to continue liking him well after our children are out of the house. So we make date nights a priority, and we have some really phenomenal babysitters in our lives, and babysitting services. And we can recommend babysitting services to mamas who might need that. But I think that is the biggest thing, the most frequently used thing over the past, 12 years of my motherhood.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great wisdom. That is a great thing to think about and consider. Wondering what your best self-care tip is that you could share, that you do for yourself.
You are really going to appreciate this because of your work. My best self-care tip, and my husband will vouch for this, is to take a nap. I love a good nap, and on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I work for myself, so occasionally you will find me like in the middle of the workday just taking a 30-minute. But it gives me energy. I'm a night owl, and that just helps me to enjoy my evenings and be productive in the evenings too. But I think taking a nap is my absolute like go-to move for self-care for myself.
Yes, yes, and amen. That is a good one and one of my favorites. And actually, when I was still working at Kidtown, I actually used to take a nap on the couches at the church. And I remember this one little guy was walking by, like, why is that lady sleeping on the couch? And I was
Yeah.
like, it is nap time. Like, so siestas are good. It is highly recommended. And so I
Yes.
love that you have figured that out for yourself too, because I think oftentimes we don't notice that like our energy is depleting. And, if we keep pushing, it's not helpful to be
Yes.
showing up and who we were created and designed to be for our families and connection and in
That's
relation.
right. And I am a huge, I mean, I'm not a huge give your kids screen time proponent, but if I need a nap, hey, kids, go watch a movie. Like that is an okay time for me to be like,
Yeah.
go have some screen time because mama needs a rest.
Yeah. It's making decisions that work for you and your
Mhm.
family.
That's right.
I love it. So, what is something you never thought that you would do or say?
So, my husband and I love to travel together, something we've loved to do since before we have had kids. And before we had kids, we would get on an airplane and we would go, like, who has the screaming baby? My gosh, get your baby under control. I'm trying to like have an enjoyable plane ride. So, so now, fast forward quite a few years, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry for that mama that has a screaming baby, right? So I think that's like one of the things I never thought I would do is like have compassion for the woman with the screaming baby or the dad with the screaming baby on the plane.
Yeah, that's such a great tip or great thing to think about. And like now, sometimes I'm like, I just travel with extra little toys that I'm like, just in case for a moment.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, that's a good thought.
it's
That's
like,
a
let's
really
just
good
throw that
idea.
in there. But I'm like, feeling ya. Here you go.
Yes, here you go. For your
Like
sake and
stickers
everyone
and
else.
shoes go a long way on the go.
So
So,
thoughtful.
what's one thing you want parents to walk away with from our conversation today?
I think if I could leave people with one thing, I would say don't underestimate the significance of prioritization.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is, yes, work is important. Yes, your kids are important, but to have a functioning family, that is not the priority, right? So to me, I think priority wise, what works in our house and what I hope to tell other moms is like to prioritize your faith, prioritize your marriage, then move on to like kids and work and friendships and things like that. Because those things are absolutely important. They're critically important. But if we can't get the basics right, the foundational components right, it's going to be really hard to get your friendships right. So I think, Restored is all about creating experiences that foster community and friendships, but we want to do that while being acutely aware of how that fits into conversations about faith and marriage and family.
Oh, I love that. And you know what? I think as you're speaking about that, I just have to say, like, sometimes that's where we feel kind of out of alignment as parents when we fall out of that. Like, I've noticed that for myself in my personal journey. If I
Yeah.
start to put my kids first or work first and things like that, like just falling out of alignment of the things that really matter in the big
Yeah,
picture.
that's right. And there are seasons, and I am not perfect at this at all. My husband will attest. Like, I am so guilty of getting out of alignment in that way. And either he'll call me on it or I'll catch myself on it, or, maybe a good friend will be like, hey, are you doing okay in these other spaces? Because, when we don't prioritize those things, it's a slippery slope. It can be a slippery slope.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that good wisdom. I'm wondering if you have any like moments that you've seen in the community where you've seen God just at work
Oh
and
gosh, yeah. I've had
throwing in an extra one there for you,
I love
Steph.
it. No, do it. Keep me on my toes. Yes, and I assume you mean specific to the restored community where I've seen
Yeah.
God Keyword. Okay. So yes, I have known women who have been going through a tough thing. I haven't even known that they've been going through a tough thing. All I've been involved with is setting up a experience. And at said experience, they'll meet a person that comes alongside with them and walks them through the tough thing. And I won't know about it until later. And I'll go, oh my gosh, like that's not me. I didn't do anything. Like God's just showing up and doing the thing, right? He's doing the tough work. I'm just setting it up. So I've seen women go through tough times where they had a stranger walk them through a thing that became a friend. Um, I've seen friendships form with, folks who are runners. Let's say let's just something as simple as like I run every day. I don't run every day. I hate running, but other people like,
See,
I want to
there's someone for everyone.
but they might be a runner and they're planning to run a marathon and they're starting their training and then they meet somebody at a restored event or through a virtual option and now they've got a running friend that's also running. They form this beautiful friendship and they complete a marathon together. Cool. I've seen we had fairly recently a coffee chat on neurodiverse kids and things that we can do to support them, and 10 out of 10 women on this call had a kid with ADHD, and they were able to make so many connections there and talk about churches that have programs that support those with neurodiverse needs. And I see God unifying women over what I consider, as I'm setting up, I'm like, oh, this is just a topic that women care about. And like, no, God cares deeply about that topic and deeply about how women are rallying around this topic. So I myself have had to just kind of step back because I have a tendency to get caught up in what are the numbers looking like? How many people are registered? What is happening? What are the logistics? Who's on first, doing this thing? And it doesn't, like, in the long run, it doesn't matter. That does not matter. And I have to step back and say, okay, God, like this is your event. Whatever women you want to be in the room are going to be in the room. And I expect you're going to show up and do a thing. I don't know what it is. I may not know what it is till 2 months or never, but he does. And he does. He just does.
Yeah.
He does his work. I'm just there to watch.
I just love that. And I'm wondering what's one thing that you've been learning in this entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I have owned a business since 2015 and worked in a few businesses before that. And one thing one of my mentors told me a long time ago was, you are the CEO of yourself. Nobody's going to make decisions for you that benefit you as you would. And I thought at the time that was such good advice. And I still think it is good advice. You have to be wise about, your career and what you're choosing to do and those things. But I think I would tweak it just a little bit to say, you are the CEO of yourself and your family. And you have to make the decisions that benefit all of you. And I don't mean benefit as like, what can I get out of things? And how can I alone or my family alone benefit? But I mean, you have to make decisions that are beneficial for yourself. You're the barometer for your family and how they show up for things. And I think that's the thing that I have learned and am learning is that my actions, my words, my responsibilities carry weight within my family structure, within the community, within my business, in all the spaces. And I can't just sit back and expect others to handle it, right? That is my responsibility. I'm the CEO of myself and my family. Oh yeah, and a business, but like that comes like way down the line. It has to be personal.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. The CEO of yourself and your family and your business. I love that.
And other things, but
And all the other things, right? Because I think as moms, we carry so many different hats or we're wearing so many different hats and things like that. And it's interesting because one of the sleep frameworks that I share with families is like, we want to think about how we're showing up, how we're leading, how we're creating environments and empowering situations and playing and showing up with our kiddos to get sleep, right? Like it's all in how we're being in those moments and
yes,
showing up that really matters. And
it
so
all
just
goes together. It all ties together. You're
It all
right.
works together for our good. Sometimes we don't even realize it.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Stephanie, I appreciate you and your time and the work that you're doing here in our community. And I am going to invite all of our listeners to get connected, join us at one of the upcoming Restored events. And
Yeah.
so thank you so much. And we'll have to continue the conversation yet another time.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care, Stephanie.
You too.
Thanks for tuning into today's show. You can see all of the details and show notes below. And as you go out into your day, I hope that you'll make it your mission to be calm, confident, and rested as you lead today. Sweet dreams.